Admiral's log. In the wake of a devastating defeat that left Italy's navies in shambles, the once proud maritime power has swiftly capitulated, suing for peace in a desperate bid to salvage what remains of their naval forces. With our own fleet already stretched thin from engagements with the Soviets and the French, the decision has been made to accept Italy's surrender. Though victory is ours, it does come at a cost. The toll of constant warfare, resources and manpower has left us with little choice but to prioritize our efforts against the most pressing threats that face us. While Italy's surrender may offer a brief respite, our gaze remains fixed on the challenges that lie ahead. As we navigate these tumultuous waters, I'm reminded of the importance of vigilance and resolve. We may have prevailed in this battle, but the wars are far from over. With each victory, we inch closer to our ultimate goal of securing our nation's sovereignty and asserting our dominance over the world. Hey guys, Stealth here and welcome to episode 28. Do you remember a few episodes ago I made the Don't Buy This class? Well, Indonesia is not paying attention and they apparently have quite a bit of budget. So I am now building a destroyer for them. Normally a destroyer would price like what? Maybe 300 million if you're building something really expensive? They're gonna be paying up 204 million in advance. And I'm going to be getting a total profit on this thing of 1.5 billion. Yeah, that's an expensive DD. Would you agree? Why, yes, good sir. As I am getting tons and tons and tons of, well, invasions, like I am invading. Look at me, I am the invader now. I am currently working on Uruguay over here for the simple reason that it's the last remaining French territory here. And with this port already repeatedly struck, I don't need a lot of tonnage. So this thing should be done pretty quick. And once that's actually complete, I will have taken over all the former colonies that the various, let's say, colonial powers, France, Germany, used to have in South America. We still have Northern Colombia, we still got Venezuela, and the invasion there failed because my fleet is currently licking their wounds over in Willemstad over there in the Dutch Antilles, or well, what used to be the Dutch Antilles, I guess they're now the Chinese Antilles. This allowing repairs has also freed up quite a lot of shipbuilding capacity, and with that I'm finally able to start fielding a couple of upgrades. The Auras, for example, they're getting refit. The Nighthawk Lax, I think, was last upgraded in 1929, so she has been very much deserving of an upgrade, especially with her performance. And the Mechamatic classes are now looking at their 5th refit. Some of these ships are around for about 17 years now, and with these things getting upgraded to Mark V guns, better longer barrels, better armor, they should be around for another, well, at least 10 years, I think. This immediately puts me over capacity, but I'm not really micromanaging it that much, because I am building no ships, I'm just refitting. I got that one order for the Don't Buy This now. And we got one showboat and one State Bell 2 getting sold pretty quick. Once these are freed up, it's going to give me a massive influx in cash and save me about 210 million a month, which is also quite valuable because I'm spending 500 million a month at the moment. With all of these various invasions that I've been doing, my attention is spread very, very thin. So my armor logistics is only 7%. Because, well, the Chinese are everywhere. We're in South America, we're in North America, we're in Africa, in various locations in Africa, by the way. But as the army is trying to invade from Morocco to northern Algeria, you can see that, well, the losses are staggering. I've lost 78,000 men versus the French 9,500. My army logistics is horrible. So my plan this episode is to complete this naval invasion and then wrap up the war with the French. I'm not interested in going to town on them, time and time again. I think I've hurt them enough for the time being. I want to spend a while recuperating, getting potentially some more... Oh, actually... getting some more ships built so that I'll be able to start getting that army percentage up. Because it's just not very high. Oh, this would be nice, taking over Thailand from the Russians. That naval invasion, or rather the land invasions, I still consider a bit more of a threat than an asset. Because if my naval invasion doesn't fall or doesn't go through, I don't actually lose any points. The French don't gain any points. If a land invasion doesn't go through, well then you're pretty much cooked, because then the enemy gets a whole lot of victory points. And that's a mechanic I would like to see changed. I would like to see that if a land invasion doesn't go through, well, there's not really any harm, any foul, especially because as a player you can't really influence it. But then again, if there is no penalty for a land invasion, then you might also argue that it's always to your advantage to try a land invasion. Even if you're outnumbered, 50-1, it would be interesting to try a land invasion. Of course, that's not quite the way that this is going to go. No, you're not getting E46 class. As for the European powers, let's have another look at the politics screen. The French are crashing. They're still shrinking by 10% per year. Their economy has grown only to 643 billion. Austria-Hungary also not doing that well. At least they're not at war with anybody. As for the Spanish, they are growing, but their economy is only 121 billion, with 28 active ships. The Soviets, 62 billion, and they are crashing. If I am just able to keep up this war, maybe they will completely crash, because there's not that much left to take away. They still have quite a few ships out in the Caribbean here. This is where 2 of their battleships and 3 of their battle cruisers are. That's a lot of tonnage. That's 400,000 tons of warships sitting just off the coast of San Juan over there. Thankfully, they haven't actually interfered with any of my operations yet, but it does mean that my ships are currently kind of bottled up over here in Willemstad because I can't leave. I don't have the firepower. What I can try and do is pull some ships over from Buenaventura, which is where the modernized Enigma Hun is. And I think... Oh, Scheffler also needs an upgrade, but she was getting repaired. Yeah. Let's push 2 ships over to Willemstad in case the Soviets make a move on it. There's another Enigma Hun class for shield bearer. Let's push her over to Willemstad. So that's a bit of force projection over there. And hopefully we're not going to actually meet the Russians, because I don't have the firepower to deal with any of them. Well, I'll take a bunch of them down, but not nearly enough. As for the rest of the powers, of course Germany still reigns supreme. 3 trillion economy. Like, it's absolutely bananas. But the Italians are also doing very well. 1.2 trillion with an active fleet of 63 ships. Very advanced technology. And, well, they can be a threat. They can be a threat. If their economy is this big and they keep that growth up, they'll be able to probably get a whole lot of ships out there. And with their advanced technology, that could be a threat. Cha-ching! Greece would like to buy 3 of the Don't Buy This class destroyers for a total of $3.5 billion in profit. I might be a little stretched with shipbuilding capacity, but that should be fine. Australia wants to buy a Chengdu. Look at that. That's not nearly as profitable. After 21 months, my profit is going to be 500 million. Whereas after 8 months with the destroyers, it's 3.5 billion. So no, they're not getting that. Malaya has been conquered by the Chinese. I have gained control over Uruguay, and they have gained control over Puerto Rico. That's interesting. So now the Soviets have a port in the Caribbean. That's why that fleet was out there. That's a very, very nice port to have. It's unfortunate that it's bordering my positions. This is also where the State Belt has retreated to, with still 16% damage. So, yeah. What are we going to do about the Soviets? How's our own land invasion going in, what was it, Kyrgyzstan? Yeah. 98%, 87. So we got that. Over here we got 81. Over here we got 43 only. It's not as much as I was hoping for. I thought we were doing another one somewhere. Oh yeah, Malaya, but that's been completed. Right, so I think we can give the French a breather. I don't really want them to fall, because if they fall, it is entirely likely that Germany is going to scoop up everything, much like what they did with the British. And then, well, I mean, they're already pretty unstoppable with that massive economy of theirs, but it's going to get worse. Now, as the naval conflict is winding down a bit, I get the opportunity to refit some of my ships. Starting with the Chengdu. The Chengdu was introduced in 1931. The designs actually, of course, got completed in 1933. So these ships are a few years old, but technology has advanced quickly in that period. These are relatively small battle cruisers, only displacing 21,000 tons, which is just a bit bigger than than a heavy cruiser. Yet their armor is only Krupp 3, when I now have access to Modern 1. Barbettes is only Barbette 3, but I think I can live with that because their flash fire chance is 0.8, so that's fine. The problem is, however, these quintuple launchers don't fit anymore. The guns are fine, but at 12.9s they were designed to deal with heavy cruisers. I think that, however, is still valid. Because while they're only 12.9s, they do fire pretty quick at 38.9 seconds. And if I were to change them out for... Oh, actually, I can't change them to 13-inch guns because this ship can't handle it. Never mind, I can't change them out. This secondary gun is an 8-inch 39 caliber, which fires every 13 seconds. And the torpedo launchers, well, we're going to have to look into those because at the moment, they don't fit too well. Sometimes maybe the barbette has grown, or there we go. Now they fit again. As for their speed, their 28 knots is fine. They're able to keep up with most heavy cruisers, not quite intercept them. A torpedo caliber 21 inches is fine. They have a Quinton's rangefinder, but they're going to get a tier 2 radar rangefinder with them. As for their propellant, TNT-4 is fine, but they're going to get upgraded to triple base. Reload and turret rotation can get a slight upgrade. And as for the rest, I think the ship is pretty okay. We're going to give her a bit more armor, seeing as the ship can now handle that. And maybe like a knot more speed. Can we do 29 knots? No, it's a bit much. I'd rather have a touch more armor on her. 5-inch main deck. 3-inch fore, 3-inch aft. We're just slightly over. There. Reduce superstructure armor a bit and we're fine. 3 months is all it takes to refit these ships. And I think that, considering the enemy's, well, tendencies to have lots of heavy cruisers, this should be fine. So that's the Chengdu upgraded. Well, at least the design. Oh, one thing I didn't look into is what sort of tower it has. Because the towers sometimes get unlocked. Yeah, it has a modern Tower 2 medium. I think we have a more modern version than that. Let me check. What tower do we have? No. Modern Tower 2. The advanced, mini advanced Tower 4 or 5. 38 long range accuracy. 44 long range accuracy. No, that's fine. I don't need to upgrade the ship any further. Now, what other ships need attention? Because I saw that the Chengdus never actually got that refit. So that's why they got the attention. The Jillins from 1929. Well, these ships are relatively old, being actually launched in the 1920s. So they're now about 20 years old, but the refit is 11 years old. We have one from 1933. And I think after that, I haven't actually really sent these ships home ever to get refit. So let's have a look at the Jillin and see if I can still make this thing feasible. The hull, I actually quite like. It's a pretty straightforward hull. There's not a whole lot that can go wrong with it. Secondary firepower is relatively light, just being 5-inch guns. And I don't believe that they have any kind of torpedo armament. So if they encounter something bigger than a cruiser, they're going to be in a world of hurt. Okay, let's see. Krupp Armor 4, it's not bad. As for the engines, in case you're about to comment on that, I have the gear turbines too, and with that, the ship cost me about 150 million. If I go diesel, it's going to be 239 million. So it's a lot more expensive, and I'm not eager to get that upgrade. So that's why I stick with the gear turbines, because for what I need the ship to do, it's perfectly fine. Let's get the electro-hydraulic turrets set up. Yes. Radar rangefinder 2. Yes. They do have torpedo launchers. Must be underwaters. Yeah, underwater torpedo launchers. Okay, that's fine. As for these guns, these are now the Mark 5 9-inchers. Is it possible to install some casemates? some of these slots, because we still have some displacement left. And if I supersize these 2 inchers, so let's say make them 2.9 inch with long barrels, that would help in their defense against destroyers. Of course, a destroyer getting to 10 kilometers is already dangerous, but, well, it happens. So that was the Gillen class. Let's see what else we have in the fleet. We got the Mecha Medic 2 flights. While they are newer cruisers of the second tier, shall we say, these two are getting slightly older, but not necessarily as old as the base Mecha Medic. So let's have a look at those. The last upgrade I got for those is 1933, so let's refit these as well. Let's see, does the ship even need attention? She's already got the Mark V's installed, I think. Let's give her the radar rangefinder. Stereoscopic is fine. Turret rotation speed is fine. Loaders are fine. Better tipple base. Yeah. Like, even though I researched some new tech, I'm not sure there's that much to go around. Let's give them more belt armor. As for these secondaries, I'm going to increase the barrel length, making these things additional range. And with that, they should be able to start eliminating destroyers potentially before they get into range, although it's going to be a little challenging. Can I install like a 4-inch? Yeah, but it won't turn very well. Is it possible to set up a barbette? Like a tiny one? No. Are these ships sleek? They're not sleek. Even the tiny barbettes won't work. I can make the ship wider, but that would kind of start ruining my engine efficiency. So I'm thinking there's not that much more that I can do. Maybe a short gun for barbette here? Giving me another 5-incher. One that can cover quite a lot of the ship. Yeah, I think this is a useful addition. Maybe another one over there. There we go. Will this turn, however? I mean, supposedly this won't turn either, but the game seems to think that they can. Hold on. We got a discrepancy in the displacement now. Oh, that's this gun. There. Come on. Sit over there. There you go. Okay. 60 tons. Conning tower time. Wow. It's a licensed sleek conning tower. We've got modern tower 1. We can install modern tower 2 for additional accuracy. Let's see. Is that worth my time? Oh, that also deleted the secondary tower. Put this here. Put this farther forward. Make that a 360. This is not going to fit anymore. I have lost all my funnels. Maybe look into that. Ship's now overweight. Yeah, makes sense. I have now put on a bit too much for this ship to carry. I'm going to put the 5-inchers in front here, so that they'll be able to engage targets at the front. I think putting this far forward is costing me additional displacement because I'm making my citadel bigger, but just being able to have this thing freely spin is valuable. This one can also freely spin, and I do want to keep the torpedo launchers. If I remove this, that's about... That might be the weight that I need. Yeah, we're now 65 tons over. Giving these diesels, we're going from 328 to 700 million. See, this is why I don't get these upgrades. Wait, and now we're fine? Huh? What? How? The ship didn't used to have 2 funnels. I can give him another funnel. Give him more engine efficiency. Yeah. What if I go to a turbo-electric drive? Because we're looking at 323, 374. This would give me additional maneuverability. Right? Acceleration is supposedly 7 knots per second. Now it's only 4. Yeah, I'll install the turbo electric. I think that's a useful upgrade. And as for the balanced rudder, let's give him an unbalanced rudder to dodge torpedoes quicker. And upgrade this to electrohydraulic steering. Okay, fine, electric steering. Giving me pretty good turning circles and pretty good turning rates. Unfortunately, being a heavy cruiser, no ability to install any hydrophones. So we'll just have to, well, continuously zigzag. And if there's a torpedo, slam on the brakes. Okay, Mechamedic 049, 1940 class. Back to the fleet screen. What else do we have? Because we definitely have some old ships. Oh! The Jingwan and the Heizhang are still base 1949, or Medic class. Oh boy. We also got a Zhejiang from 1921. I really have upgraded that thing before, right? Sort by name. Yeah, and 1927. Ooh, okay. Get with the times, Zhejiang. Get with the times. This ship. Crypt 3 armor. Nope, modern armor. Look at that. This thing is sporting 10-inch guns, but it's only costing me 73 million. Yeah, if I can keep these things around, I think that'd be fantastic. Give him a radar rangefinder. Give him a stereoscopic rangefinder. What do we got? Modern tower. That's not even modern tower. It's front tower 8. Yeah, that's the that's the most modern version we got. TNT, completely outdated now. What else can I get? They're slow. If I want to make them 24 knots, I can. If I give them diesels, they're going to be able to do that pretty reliably. Their engine efficiency is awful, though. I'd have to install a lot of funnels to keep these engines breathing. This is small funnel 3. If I give them this dual funnel and remove that secondary, we got a decent engine efficiency now. Can I make them 25 knots, or is that pushing this hull? No. 26 knots. Yeah, engine efficiency is suffering again. Okay. Squeeze another funnel in there somewhere. Come on. Oh, these can be side mounts. This thing is nothing but funnels. Just to make sure that it can push these 8 inches through the water at any decent speed. The centerline guns can go up to 11-inch guns. Really? This weighs 358 tons. Installing a quadruple 11-inch is going to weigh 1,200 tons. So that'll never fit. You know, the joke is that this is a battleship. Right? This thing is a battleship. With 10-inch guns. My battle cruisers are sporting bigger guns than that. If I give this thing 9-inchers, it's an inflated heavy cruiser. I'm not really sure what to do with this ship. Because I know that these 10-inchers are really good. Can I give them like sniper barrels? Like really long barrels? Yeah. We can fire out to 33 kilometers with armor piercing. I'd say at 15 kilometers, this thing starts getting deadly. Unfortunately, it's a bit heavy, which probably has to do with all that speed that I put on. There. As for these secondaries, let's also give them more range, because while this thing might have armor, I think my heavy cruisers are superseding it seriously when it comes to their firepower. 20% longer barrels makes them, unfortunately, unable to fit. I cannot upgrade those that much. Can we get 5%? Nope. Too big. Oh, come on. Even at 0% now you won't fit? These things are really picky. Okay, we're going to have to stick with that -2%, or they simply won't fit on the ship anymore. Is it possible to mount a secondary gun atop the primary? No. So if anything manages to slip by these 8-inch guns or their 10-inch guns, this thing is toast. It has no smaller firepower. Nothing. So that means additional armor, I guess. 8-inch, 8-inch. 12-inch might be a bit of a stretch. 10-inch? Wow. I think this was my first battleship. Zhejiang's? Yeah. Because I would not put that 5-incher or whatever it was down in the middle. Interesting to keep these things around as long as they are. I think it's nice to have these, well, let's say museum-esque ships around. Now, I do have to correct this. This is not a battleship. It's a medium cruiser from 1910. Oh, sorry, 1920. But the hull is completely obsolete. And I cannot build any new ones, but I can keep the ones that I have around. So for a medium cruiser, yeah, this level of firepower makes a whole lot more sense. Now, after all this refitting, it's time for some fighting. The Russian ships are still around in the Mediterranean, not in the Mediterranean, in the Caribbean. And we have 3 cruisers of theirs, 2 heavies, 1 light, surfacing around my area. It's bound to happen at some point, because they just took over Puerto Rico. So, we have the Azia, the Africa, and the Kagul. This is a 10-gun 6.2. This is a, oh my god, a double 7.5-inch, and this is 8 10.5. So this is more serious, but the cruiser itself is really cheap at 120 million. The Africa is far cheaper, and then their light cruiser is actually the more expensive of the bunch. My ship's going to be led by the Kahar, a already upgraded 1940 Mechanic. We have the Siquan, a 1940 version, and the Heizhou, which is ancient. This thing is from 1920, and she only carries a couple of 4-inch guns and torpedo launchers. This thing was designed, I think, to hunt down destroyers. So, yeah. Well, she might be able to torpedo the heavy cruisers, if they're not that heavily escorted by their own light, capable of detecting the torps. Shots fired. Siquan opening up, along with her sister, the Kahar, at a pretty good range, because these guns can now hit about 25 kilometers out, depending on what type of shell you put into them. As for these Russian ships, I don't think that they have anywhere near that range, because these are museum pieces. 7.5-inch guns, with a few casemates to back it up. I mean, it's 28 3.5-inch. My destroyer and my light cruiser might not like the attention, but, well, we'll just run rings around these ships. Their range is 9.7 on the torpedoes, and we have 6.6-inch guns as well. Oh, this is the other guy. We got 10.5s, which can only fire to 12 kilometers. Like, they're really old ships. What type of tier guns you got? Mark 4? And you got Mark 3. Alright. Hey, Zhao, I want you to engage this target right here. And you guys are just... Well, you are also going to focus on that light cruiser, because that thing is capable of sporting torpedo launchers. Though it doesn't actually seem to have any deck-mounted ones. This is the one with the 6-inch guns. And armor, apparently, because I'm ricocheting right off of the ship. Interesting. Oh, not all of it, though. Not all of it. Let's have the Heizhou smoke itself up. And at this range, 9 kilometers out, we might be able to send some torpedoes. Oh, soonish. Soon we'll be able to send the torpedoes. This light cruiser might have torpedoed the Heizhou, though, with side mounts. Let's push into the cruiser. Gone. Notification is forthcoming. Did not have any torpedo launchers. Alright, not a threat. Well, not as big as I thought. Torpedo away. And you guys are also allowed to just torpedo away, with the Siquan torpedoing the second target. I don't think that these museum ships are going to be much use for the Russians, because my 9-inchers are just tearing them to bits. This is going to be a very, very short battle. Oh! That was a very, very clear torpedo launch. Mark II torpedoes. Mark II? What we got? Mark IV. Yeah, so that torpedo attracted all sorts of attention. My own torpedoes completely missed, but, well, just of no consequence. That's actually the first skirmish that I've had with the Russians, which is surprising because this war has been going on for many months. But neither of us was actually out there to go after the other party. So we were just kind of dancing around in the Caribbean. They taking over some territory, I taking over some territory, and, well, I guess at some point they sent out some museum ships, and maybe it's just a probing force. I kind of hope that it is. I kind of hope that the Russian fleet, well, the rest of them, the battle cruisers, the battleships, are a bit more advanced. The Russians are definitely starting to, well, I'm not going to say put missiles on Cuba, but they're definitely bringing something over to San Juan. And the Obelisk Potowski and the Shandong are there to stop it. So they're going to have to take out the Ivan Gorod, the Abrek, and one of their destroyers. Let's see if these things are as old before we take out the transports. Here's another one of the museum boats. 10-inch guns, dual barrel. We have another one of those light cruisers and a destroyer. It seems like they've kind of relegated all of their escorting duties to these cheaper ships. I mean, the older ships, that is. The only, I think, relatively modern ship is this one, because this is a fairly modern hull. It's carrying a couple of torpedo launchers on the stern and some really small 4.6ers on, well, the bow, and somewhere amidships. So these guys are going to have to defeat my cruisers. Yeah, sorry gents, but I don't see it happening. Shandong and Obelisk Potowski, these things have seen a lot of conflict. I believe the Obelix is... yeah, they're both Mecha-Medic class. Which is just a really reliable class of ship. These things have done a lot of work. And I believe at their 33 knots they're slightly faster than they used to be. Making them even more deadly. Because now they not only can dodge more easily, but they can also determine what side of the engagement they want to be on. Do they want to split themselves up? Do we want to intercept a ship that's running away? We have a lot of options now. As opposed to this DD, which only has water on the inside. I do fear that this campaign is becoming a bit too easy. World domination is fun, but only if you get some sort of pushback, which I'm not really getting. So I might be wrapping it up at, let's say, episode 30, maybe episode 32. Let me know what you guys think about the campaign so far and what your thoughts are on how to make it more challenging. I can engage Germany if I so desire because, well, I have the firepower to do just that. But overall, I'm not sure if picking a fight with the Germans is really going to make for an interesting fight. Because while the Germans might have a lot of ships, I'm not convinced that they're very advanced. Of course, there's really only one way to find out. Anyway, the German ships here, sorry, the Russian ships here are already succumbing to the wounds. Flooding, fire damage. These light cruisers have no business being here. I mean, it's very brave of these ships to engage my cruiser, but it's only going to really end one way. As for their heavy cruiser, it is finally in range by now. So it is capable of shooting back. But, well, good luck stopping these shells, because these things stop for very few things, let alone the armor on a heavy cruiser. I say that and instantly get my shells blocked. Go to HE. Parcel pens. Parcel pens. Couple of fires. It's not bad. Cadets. Yeah, I really hope that, let's say lore-wise, they're more advanced ships are crewed by veterans. Oh, this thing is very well protected. Very well protected indeed. And it can launch a torpedo, surprise. Are these Mark IIs again? Yeah, so I'll see that launch long before it becomes a threat. Oh, never mind. That works. Flooding. Engine damaged. Ship's toast. Alright, boys. We got one limping destroyer. And for the rest, it's enjoy your stay with the transports. A little bit of a transport beatdown. These transports are packing. They're bringing 4.7-inch guns, which... are they more modern than the DD? No, the DD also got the 5-inch. Those are the Mark Vs. Would have been funny if the destroyers had worse armaments. Well, caliber-wise they do, right? 4.6-inch gun on the destroyer, 4.7-inch on the transports. Shame that they can't use them. They don't have a rangefinder of any kind. Yeah. I kind of feel bad for these guys, but this is the way it's gonna go. So, the Russians showed up, but I'm not even sure if they did any kind of damage. No, my ships took 0 damage in that encounter. It is really, really unfortunate. I was hoping that the AI would put more fight, but okay. The Russians also have another convoy out here, and this one is apparently very important to them because it's defended by a battleship and a battlecruiser. The battlecruiser with the 17-inch guns we've seen before. And I'm very concerned for the Imperator Alexander. It's a 1921 ship. It's slow at 14 knots, but it is packing 8 13-inch guns. I'm afraid those 13-inch guns are Mark 1 or Mark 2 at best. So the whole Russian fleet, well, maybe much like their modern counterparts, is proving to be a serious pushover. They have no firepower. The whole thing's not getting upgraded. And, well, they are absolutely no threat. This is the Russian battleship. Much to my surprise, it actually carries tier 3 guns. 3rd grade guns. So that means that they actually have some level of firepower. And, well, considering that I have cruisers, mostly, that could be a threat. These 17-inch guns can also be a threat, but their placement is peculiar. They have no forward firepower. Everything is amidships and then something on the stern. But this being Dreadnoughts, it's possible that this thing fires right over the main tower. That would be funny. Over here we have a destroyer. Relatively old, but with those torpedo launchers, all 15 of them can be a threat. Range of the torpedoes, only 7 kilometers. So, not that big of a threat. Now, Nanning is rushing in at 27 knots, but the heavy cruisers are coming in at 33 and 34. Actually, well, some of them are doing 34 knots. Let's eliminate the DD first, before we take shots at anything else. So I don't want this thing suddenly ramping up speed and rushing my heavy cruisers with a torpedo launch of 15. As much as my heavy cruisers have maneuverability, I'm not interested in testing that maneuverability. Now, as for this battle cruiser, it sports 17-inch guns, but they're Mark 1. That is pretty shit. Let's not taunt this battleship too much. Get the torpedo launchers ready. Target this. Unfortunately, that destroyer might have something to say to the battleship about a potential torpedo launch from my ships. Because as dead as this thing is, it can still detect. Which is a weird mechanic, and I don't really like it, but it's something we have to work with. The battleship is really slow. Something is doing 14 knots. Like, maybe a coastal battleship, but not something out here to defend a convoy. Like, your protectees are faster than your escort. It's that bad. You are targeting the battleship, but seemingly not getting much done. Dud? Oh, we got one good hit on him. We're getting a ship with many bulkheads, but cramped crew quarters, cadets. They've only lost 27% of their crew. Well, at least they got some armor on there. That's nice. And the battle cruiser. Not terribly impressed. They got a they got a 3-minute reload. Oh god. Whoops. And then I got torpedoed. Yeah, I completely deserved that. Respect your enemy. Disrespect your enemy at your peril. Well, this was my peril. I disrespected that battle... No, that battleship. And the battleship said, well, son, that's your mistake. And they were completely validated in doing so. Can we actually pen this? We should be able to. 2.5 kilometers out, I can pen 16 inches of armor. It's not the main belt, but the sides, bow and stern, should be good to go. There we go. That battle cruiser is already limping away. And... tell me, good sir, what happened to your turret? Yeah, your turret flashed off the ship, leaving you with a couple of 8-inch guns. And some 7.8 casements. Yeah, so you're not a threat. And that's just disregarding the fact that you're already flooded. And that you're crewed by cadets. How does the AI fly this much off the handle? I just don't really understand it. It's like early game, they are pretty big of a threat. And then late game, they become a complete and utter pushover. They just don't upgrade their ships. I don't quite get it. They do seem to build a lot of new ships, though. But because they don't scrap their old ships as much as they arguably should, they find, well, most of their old ships in the front line, and maybe the occasional... Really? Maybe the occasional riskier maneuvers with the bigger, more modern ships. I know Germany has a lot of modern ships, so maybe I should poke them and just see what exactly comes out of that fleet once you start stirring the pot. I want the battle cruiser to chase this thing down. While we... well, we can still harass it with our 9-inchers. But I'd much rather just get rid of some of the other things here. This is when I'm kind of missing 2-inch guns. I mean, it would be nice to have those. But the 5-inchers, like 3 or 4 shots, and it's bye-bye to the transport. Kursk is down to 42% structural, 59% buoyancy, probably 15 knots. Yeah, 17 knots. Not that good. Gelenjik sinks to casualties? They surrender. Gungut. This is completely unfair, but then again, that's always the case with transport killing. Not a whole lot that they can do. Unless you're maybe facing a destroyer. Extensive fire. This complete target practice. Are they actually doing anything? Yeah, they got a 3-incher doing something. They're trying to add some damage. They're actually dealing damage. Which is more than 17-inch guns can say. Boom. Okay. Convoy eliminated. Are we gonna take out this battle cruiser or what? Maybe. Maybe I need to help him out along with the heavies. After a long and for the French pretty grueling war, there is finally peace. Let's see exactly what they are willing to pay. They're willing to give me Corsica. No thank you. French Polynesia... I can take quite a bit off their hands. Mauritania might be nice, because it's already bordering one of my territories. Southern Algeria puts me in the Mediterranean, which is not where I want to be. Tripolitana, Tunisia, it's all the same. I don't want to be in that area. I can take another 1.7 billion off their hands if I so desire, but I already got 23 billion in the bank. I don't want to stretch my already stretched navy too much more. So I'll just go along with this and take another bunch of money. Thailand by the Soviets has been conquered by me. Very good. Gives them one less area to put forces in. Oh, I should have taken some of the areas here. Crap. Oh, never mind. They were too expensive. Probably. Anyway, that concludes the war with the French. The The French are definitely going to be reeling from that one. As for the Russians, yeah, they're still well on track to collapse, so maybe I should just let them do that. Anyway, that will conclude this episode. Thank you for watching it. I hope you enjoyed, and as I mentioned, I might be wrapping up the series fairly soon, because I've taken over tons and tons and tons of territory, but I'm finding no meaningful resistance anywhere. So thank you for watching. I'll see you soon for the next episode.